Betty Ann Bowser launches our coverage of the second Oklahoma City bombing trial.
2 days after the April 19, 1995 bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma City, 40-year-old Terry Nichols, an old Army buddy of Timothy McVeigh's, said he was listening to news reports here in his home in Harrington, Kansas, when he heard his name mentioned in connection with the incident. Later that day, he went to the Harrington police station to ask why. 2 weeks later, the government charged him with murder and conspiracy.
For more on the Nichols trial, we turn to three men who followed this trial periodically when it was the trial of Timothy McVeigh. Tim Sullivan, senior correspondent for Court TV. Jim Fleischner, professor at the Mercer University School of Law in Macon, Georgia, and a former federal prosecutor. And Dan Recht, immediate past president of the Colorado Criminal Defense Bar and a practicing attorney in Denver. How would you, if you were doing this case, get an impartial jury in the same courtroom with the same judge, the same place that Timothy McVeigh was just convicted and sentenced to death on the same charges that Terry Nichols faces?
Well, it's a difficult task, that's for sure. You know, the defense tried to have this trial moved to San Francisco and unsuccessfully. So they need to go carefully with each juror, and each juror is being questioned individually. And, you know, as a background, each juror has gotten a long questionnaire asking them many questions about their background, what they knew about this case, what they heard about this case, how they heard it, where they heard it. And then they just need to be questioned concerning their biases and what they know, and you hope that you come up with a jury that doesn't have preconceived notions.
And Jim Fleischner, what would you as a prosecuting attorney be looking for in a jury at this point?
Well, I think the main thing the prosecution is going to be looking for, jurors with an open mind about the death penalty.
And Mr. Recht, do you agree that that's what the defense strategy will be?
Well, you know, I actually talked to Michael Tiger about this yesterday, and it's true. The defense strategy is going to be that Nichols was never involved in any conspiracy. Now, the press has sort of wondered, and I've wondered, whether that was going to be their defense or that he was initially involved in a conspiracy and then pulled out of it, which is a legal defense, and he would not be guilty if in fact that was true. But Mr. Tiger confirmed for me that their position is he was never, from the beginning, involved in any conspiracy.
Jump in here, Tim Sullivan, on the differences between the two trials and how that makes the strategies of both sides different.
Well, I think the prosecution here they have a circumstantial case against Terry Nichols. Their case against Tim McVeigh was largely circumstantial, but of course against Tim McVeigh, they had him arrested 70 miles from Oklahoma City, about 70 minutes after the bombing, with explosives residue on his clothing. He was more or less caught red-handed.
Dan Recht, you want to say anything about that?
Well, it's true. They have circumstantial evidence against Nichols, and my understanding is that the defense team has reasons for all of those things and exculpatory reasons for all those things. The other thing that will differ greatly between these trials, and again, Mr. Tiger confirmed this for me yesterday, is that they are going to, that is the defense, put on a substantial case. He told me that they subpoenaed over 300 people just for the defense case, which comes after the prosecution case. And he also said he believed his cross-examination of government witnesses would be longer and more vigorous than we saw in the McVeigh trial.
And Mr. Fleischner, let's talk about the lawyers for a minute. Starting with Tiger as a prosecutor, what difference will it make that it's Michael Tiger this time?
Well, he has kind of a Clarence Darrow-like persona, and I think he's going to be a real star in this case. He has a triable case. He could win this case.
And Dan Recht, what would you add to that about Michael Tiger?
Michael Tiger has been my hero for the almost 20 years I've been a lawyer. He's a very good lawyer. But I guess I want to point out, to be a very good courtroom lawyer doesn't mean you're tricky or sneaky. To be a very good courtroom lawyer means that you communicate well with jurors, that they believe in you, that they trust you, that you seem honest. And Michael Tiger is all of those things. So I agree with Jim. I think he's a formidable force.